What's up, everyone? Jason Gilbo here with Chris Etherington, taking a look at the RBC Canadian Open on DraftKings. A weaker field, obviously, than last week. You're a Canadian guy, so obviously we kind of lucked out because you can give us all the inside scoops. You're dropping guys that live 20 minutes away knowledge, before we hit record here.
Yeah, the one guy that you mentioned that lives pretty close to the course. He grew up in Dundas, Ontario. That's going to be Mackenzie Hughes. I mean, at 6,800 for him, you can't really go wrong down here. If you just look at his history, the only history he has at the Glen Abbey golf course is back in 2013, but he did miss the cut. But he is a different player back than 2013. So, I mean, if you look at his recent form coming into this week, he made his last 4 cuts, and he actually finished 20th at the Greenbrier Classic. So I think Hughes might be your somewhat sneaky option down here. It's going to be him that I like this week. Also Nick Taylor and also Adam Hadwin. And I just cannot play Dillette. I just don't like Dillette.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, I mean, if you were ranking the 4, we know where Dillette stands now, but you like first. I mean, what about between Hadwin and Taylor? Who are you looking at between those two if you had to give one?
I think my top pick would have to be Hadwin. I think Hadwin overall is the best putter of the 4 players. He's also a very consistent ball striker as well. And then Nick Taylor, I mean, he's not that consistent yet, but he is getting there. And then I think Mackenzie Hughes is a close third, just behind Nick Taylor. Yeah, he did win at the beginning of the season, like in the wraparound season. But I think the narrative for him is that he did grow up about 20 to 30 minutes, but pretty close to the course. So, yeah, I think those 3 guys for a Canadian squad, I think those 3 I'm going to be playing in some of my lineups for this week.
Yeah, I'm all about the narrative there. Also, I mean, for the most part, those are guys that we've been talking about, not recently within maybe the last month or so, but prior to this year. As I said earlier, I mean, kind of a weaker field this week. You do have Dustin Johnson, you do have Matt Kuchar. You wrote up Matt Kuchar. Obviously, both are in play. I mean, hard to argue that Dustin Johnson, he's a favorite to win this week. Kuchar's just that guy who's been just super consistent.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at his history at this tournament and at this course, really, he has 3 top 10s at this course. Okay, so if you look at that and then you look at his form coming into this week, yeah, he had a runner-up last week to Jordan Spieth. That was a nice little duel that he had with Spieth on Sunday. And then before the British Open, he had basically 4 top 20s coming into the Open. So the guy's just basically in form at this time of year. He's going to get you your top 20, top 10 result with this type of field. I mean, I don't care about the jet lag. I know some people will say, yeah, he was coming over a pond and whatnot. I don't really care about that because these guys do that pretty much every year. So Kuchar is used to that. I'm just going to play him, and probably close to 80% of my lineups this week. He's just really solid all around, and there's really no reason to fade him.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Kuchar's the play here, about $1,000 cheaper than DJ. Starting to kind of break things down, Brandt Snedeker, if you missed it, he withdrew this week already. You got Charlie Hoffman, Tony Finau, Bubba Watson. You brought up Bubba Watson's up about 2,000, 2,500 from where he was last week. It says a lot, pretty much really, about the field.
Yeah, it does. There's really no reason for Bubba to be up here. If you look at his game logs for this season alone. It's basically hit or miss. He did make the cut his last 3 starts. He actually did look okay on the weekend last week at the Open. But, I mean, at 9,400, I'm looking for a guy who I feel comfortable with of contending and possibly win. And with Watson, I'm just not seeing him winning or contending this week. He just I don't know what it is, but he's just not in it this year.
Yeah, he's a guy just we continue not to play or won't play moving forward. What do you think about Hoffman? I mean, he's the cheaper of the 10K plus guys. 3 of his last 4 tournaments, he's finished top 20. Obviously, he was solid at the Travelers. Really good, performance at the Open. Finished 8th. I mean, I don't think he's going to be crazy alone because I think a lot of people are going to still have that same opinion of, he is the GPP swerve if you're not going to be using Kuchar, if you're not going to be using DJ.
Yeah, I think Hoffman might be a nice little pivot. I mean, he's still going to be popular. Don't get me wrong, but I think you have to break down the ownership up here. I think Kuchar will be the highest owned, and then it'll be between basically the next 3 guys, probably spread out, probably around 20% each in ownership. But with Hoffman, I mean, if you look at his stats, he's 22nd in birdie or better, and he's 20th in par 4 scoring. So with that in mind, I think Hoffman might be a nice tournament option. He's usually up there on the leaderboards for Thursday and Friday, and then it starts to falter off during the weekends. But he does have that upside of actually winning the tournament. So with that in mind, yeah, he's a good pick for me. And also the other 3 guys, I like the top 4 here. And I'm just going to do a stars and scrubs type of lineup for this week.
Yeah, Tony Finau's that 9,500. He's kind of that other guy that sits in that range. He's going to be somewhat popular. He's been a guy that we kind of trusted all year long, and now he's priced up a little bit. Usually we get him, he's a little bit cheaper. Because of the field, he's priced up, but I think he deserves his price tag in a field like this.
Yeah, with this odds, I mean, he was one of the top players in odds. I think when I last saw it, he was around 20, 25 to 1 to win this week. So for him to be in here in the top 4 for DraftKings, I think that's a really good spot for him. If you look at Finau stats, he's definitely in form coming in. He's 11th in par 4 scoring and 13th in birdie or better. He's also 29th in strokes gained approach to the green, which I think is one of the key stats for this course, especially after seeing it in person last year. So I think hitting your irons well will be the key to play well this week. And basically all these guys at the top is from Finau up is basically on form with their irons. So yeah, Finau and all of them, like I said, I'm just going to play them.
Let's talk about this 8K range. Some notable names here. You got, Kevin Chappell's 9K, but you got Keegan Bradley 8.9, Lingmerth 8.8, Poulter 8.7, Lowry Holmes. I mean, some notable names here. I don't know if I have a particular favorite of this group. I mean, I don't mind Bradley. I don't mind Lingmerth. But I kind of go skip down. I think there are better options for more of a points per dollar basis if you kind of drop down that extra 1,000.
Yeah, this is like a dead range for me. If I had to pick one in this range, I would pick Ian Poulter just because of good form coming in. And if you look at his stats, I mean, he's ranked 6th and strokes gained approach to the green. He's also ranked 2nd for strokes gained around the green. So, and with his good performance the last 2 outings and Europe, I mean, if you look at his game log, I mean, 14th at the British, 9th at the Scottish, and he's actually been playing very well ever since the Players, where he finished runner-up there. So I think Poulter is your safest option, maybe for cash. And the other guy that I like is Patrick Cantlay at 8,100. He's the one guy who I think would be a little popular as well with Poulter. He's that one guy that's been trying to get back on tour after his accident with his back and also losing his best friend and his caddy a few years ago. But I mean, if you look at his game log again, he was third at the Heritage. That was his third tournament of the season, and then he played 2 more times after that. He made the cut in both tournaments, so people are going to see that. They're going to know the name. I think he's just going to be probably around that 17 to around 20% mark in ownership. Same with Poulter. I think those 2 guys are probably your safe options for cash.
And then we're talking pivots away from that range. Obviously, we talked about Nick Taylor at the beginning of the show. Gary Woodland, Danny Lee, 2 interesting names in that range for me. I like them for GPPs. Lee's one of those boomer bust guys. He's either going to finish top 10 or he's just going to miss the cut flat out, which I don't mind at that price. I don't mind in this tournament just because, one, it is a weaker field, and he's also priced up to 8K, which I think is deserving of this tournament.
Yeah, and then also Lee is the guy that he basically screwed everyone. His last outing at the John Deere Classic, basically coming into the John Deere, he had 2 top 10s going into that tournament, and then at the John Deere, he decided to WD after shooting a 74. So that literally just screwed everyone. He was one of the most popular plays of that week. That being said, I think Lee might be a nice tournament option just because he made the cut here last year. He finished basically in mid of the field. So I don't mind that play. If you look at Gary Woodland, I mean, he's your par 5 scoring guy. He's ranked up there with Freya Wells. And also, I mean, if you look at the other stats, he's ranked 28th for strokes in approach the green. So, and he hasn't missed a cut since the Players. I think him and Lee might be your good tournament options. I think a lot of players are going to flock towards possibly Nick Taylor and also Patrick Cantley.
Yeah, I'm with you. Woodland was the guy I was going to bring up. Yeah, does 11th and par 5 birdies are better this year. That was a stat that I brought up at the beginning of the show, but you're kind of tossing it out the window a little bit just because par 5s you believe are just fairly easy that it doesn't really matter. You're taking more into account par 4 scoring.
Yeah, after being at the course last year, I kind of realized that all of the 4 par 5s are very reachable for the most part for all the players in this field. They're very gettable. I know a lot of touts are going to say par 5 scoring will be a high stat rank to look at, but I think par 4 scoring is probably going to be where it's at. There are some type par 4s at this course, but yeah, overall, I think par 4 scoring might be that edge that will help you find some lower owned guys that might help you win a GPP this week.
Yeah, I'm with you. 7K range. This is kind of an interesting one. A couple of guys that did pop up to me. Luke Liss, 7,600. Someone intrigued. He's 7th in par 5 birdie or better. He's 12th in strokes gains off the tee. He's another one of those ones where it's just kind of boomer bust. 7,600. I think he's definitely more of a GPP option.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like Liss this week. If you look at his stats, he's basically 10th in birdie or better. He's ranked 56th in strokes gain approach the green. So he's definitely hitting his greens well coming into this week. And then he's that type of player that I think will do well. If you look at his history, I mean, he's made his last 2 cuts at this course, finishing 14th last year. So down here, I think, yeah, with his 3 missed cuts in his last 4 events, I think he'll be lower own coming into for the week. I think a lot of people might go to CT Penn or maybe James Hahn that are around him. Even Chad Campbell might get some ownership this week. But so I really like this for tournaments this week. His stats are lining up very well.
Yeah, Campbell's a nice guy I did want to talk about. He kind of popped up on my radar. Pretty good form. He did miss the cut, the Travelers, but I mean, over his last three, I mean, T18, T12, T9, he shot 13 under in back-to-back tournaments. Not a bad price tag for him. I think he might be that guy who's somewhat popular just because of his recent form.
Yeah, and also the name. I think a lot of people are just going to go to him because people know him. And he also made his last 3 cuts here at this course. His best finish being 11th in 2015. So with that in mind, and then, like you said, if you look at his recent form, basically 3 top 15s in his last 4 starts here. So I think in this range, I think Campbell will be a nice cash play for this week. He's going to be popular. If you look at his stats, I mean, he's 32nd in strokes gained approach to green. And then the other, he doesn't make a whole lot of birdies, which is concerning. But other than that, he's pretty much average for the most part for the rest of his stats. So I don't mind Campbell for cash this week.
Yeah, I don't either. In terms of your article, I mean, you're looking at Vegas, 7,200, and coming off a decent finish, obviously at John Deere, which is the last one he's played.
Yeah, when I was looking at the field and I saw Camilo Pages this week, his stats kind of like the other guys that I like for this week. He's basically coming into form, 31st in birdie or better, 53rd in both strokes gained approach the green and around the green. So when you look at that, and then with a good showing at the John Deere, I mean, at 7,200, I think he's going to be overlooked a little bit. I think a lot of people will go probably towards Boo Weekly, and then probably Ollie as well. So I think Camilo might be your favorite pivot play for the tournaments this week.
In terms of guys under 7K, JT Poston for me, finally kind of flashing some form after really struggling. And you and I kind of had the theory that he just might have been burned out, given the guy that he's played quite a bit. But 10 under, 5 under his last 2 outings. Not particularly great in terms of what the field did, but that was better than actually what he's been doing the previous weeks before that. Given the fact that he's still cheap, I mean, he's 6,800. This was a guy prior to that recent stretch where he was missing the cut a lot. Was kind of a staple in my lineups, and I think he might be that again this week.
Yeah, he might. I totally agree with you. I think he's probably going to be one of those guys, again, just like Camilo. He's going to be overlooked because of his recent play. With that stretch of missed cuts, people are just going to basically just pass over him and look elsewhere. But I think if you look at his form at the start of the season, he was actually playing very well. So with that in mind, down here, yeah, he's basically just your guy that you just want to make a cut, and that's it. Hopefully a top 30 finish, and that'll make his value for the week. He should be less than 2% owned, I think, in the major GPPs this week.
Yep. And, we talked about Mackenzie Hughes, he's 6,800. I know there's a guy you like, Michael Kim, but we'll get to him real quick. What do you think about Seamus Power at 6,800?
Yeah, I'm definitely going back to Power. I did roll him up back at the John Deere Classic a couple of weeks ago, and he actually made the cut. He finished well, 25th, and then he actually made his last 3 cuts. Overall, I think Power is still that average guy that will hit the greens and also have big opportunities for birdies and for scoring. So I think with his type of game coming into this week, it should suit him very well. I don't mind playing him, probably around 30%, 40% of my lineups for sure.
Yep. Yeah, and then Michael Kim was the guy you were taking a look at. You wrote him up as one of your core guys in the article. He's only 6,600 this week.
Yeah, when you look at Kim, if you just take a look at his stats real quick, I mean, he's 31st and par 4 scoring, and that's the one stat that I said that's probably be overlooked because a lot of guys will be looking at par 5. He's actually really good at scoring in par 4s. If you look at his recent play, he's made his last 4 cuts. I mean, yeah, his finishes haven't been that great, but he does have that upside of actually getting inside the top 20, possibly a top 10 if he really plays well. But I think Cam might be that one, maybe not a sneaky guy because I think he might be a little popular down here, maybe around the 5-7% ownership mark for him. But I think with his recent play and with his par 4 scoring stats, I think I'm going to go to him and put him in most of my lineups for this week.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, we were talking before a little bit and kind of throughout, but definitely kind of a stars and scrubs approach this week.
Yeah, like right now, I like 3 or 4 guys already that are below 7,000, and then I like around same number of guys below 7,500, basically between 7,500, and then that's pretty much what my range is going to be like. A few guys below 7,500, the top 4 guys at the top, and then just mix and match those guys and sprinkle in like a Patrick Cantley and maybe some Nick Taylor as well.
Excluding the top 4 guys, who you got winning this week?
Oh man, you just had to say that, didn't you?
I did.
Oh.
Yeah, it's not an easy call like last week where we had numerous options to choose from.
Other than the top 4 guys, you know what? Let's pick Ian Poulter. He had a nice showing last week. Poulter came inside the top 10. He's definitely coming into form. Something definitely clicked in his game after finding out that he's pretty much exempt now. He can play wherever he wants. So I think Poulter might be my guy for this week, other than the top 4.
I like that. I'm gonna take Danny Lee. A couple of top 10s. He's been close. I think he could break through here.
That'll be a nice comeback from the WD for sure.
Yeah. So that's going to wrap it up with us. You can head over to DaveFantasyCafe.com. You can check out Chris's Core 4. Be sure to give him a follow on Twitter as well. And good luck this week.